Okay, coming up on our Finding Better podcast, you don't want to miss this. Dr. Tracy Latz is with me, and we're going to talk about her new book and her experiences. But her new book is called Bye Bye Self-Sabotage. It is incredible. This is one of those things that you're going to want to know about because it is the foundation of your entire life and what's going on inside your head in terms of self-sabotaging yourself from getting to better, from getting to where you want to be. Please join us on our Finding Better podcast and share it. Thanks. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. I'm John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is a place where we share real life experiences and wisdom of things we've done to find better in our lives so that you can learn from, sometimes the best way to learn is by copying success. And so today we're going to talk about self-sabotage. And boy, you talk about an area that is near and dear to me because I'm sabotaging myself all the time. But we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about not only what it means, but how it manifests itself in our lives. And we're today's guest. I'm so honored to have our guest today. Her name is Tracy Latz. And I'm going to tell you about her background in a little bit. Everything from a medical doctor to a master's of science in cell biology, a physician, integrative psychiatrist, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you about that. But anyway, for now, she's amazing. She's amazing. And we're going to talk about um, getting rid of and addressing self-sabotage, which is something that we all do. Tracy, welcome to Finding Better. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me here, John. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so your background. First of all, this whole idea of self-sabotage is something that I actually learned when I was like in my 30s. And so but it's so interesting because we really do sabotage ourselves and we don't even know we're doing it. So can you explain what that is? So explain what self-sabotage is.
Self-sabotage is something, as you say, we all do. But often we don't recognize it because we start it in childhood. We'll buy into what I call faulty beliefs,
Uh-huh.
or thinking of it as the lies we tell ourselves. And the core faulty beliefs that we start with is a belief that we're unlovable for a various number of reasons. It could be I'm unlovable because I now have a sibling that's born and I was the princess of the universe, and now I'm chopped liver because my parents are focusing on a new baby. But any self-sabotage or faulty belief is anything that really does not resonate with the truth of who we truly are at the core of our essence, which is a beautiful, powerful, loving, and always loved energetic being or spiritual being. So we have core faulty beliefs. Mhm.
You started the example that you gave was about being a child, right?
Yes.
And having a baby brother or sister, and us coming up with this dialogue in our head that says we're not valuable anymore because this person who's just entered my life is more valuable than I am. And what strikes me is that that's something that nobody has said to you. Nobody has said that you're worth less. No, that child, meaning us, came up with that, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that
Yes.
probably stuff like that probably happens every single day.
Yes, it does. And we build upon whatever core faulty beliefs we may have. We build the rest of our life on that until or unless we look back at it and say, is that really true? And we question it and we begin to challenge it. But over the course of my 35 years in clinical practice as an integrative psychiatrist, I have come to be aware of the 10 or so core faulty beliefs that people get stuck on and then have yips about for the rest of their life until they look at it and challenge it and sort of say, wait a minute, I don't believe that holds true for me anymore. Because when we're kids, if we also have trauma in our past or background, then that can compound a belief that I'm unlovable. Of course, I'm unlovable. See how I was treated. I must have deserved that. And then that will create more difficulty later, and other issues we'll begin to hold on to.
Oh my gosh, you keep center you first you centered on early childhood, and now you just talk about being unlovable, right? Um, it's all about love. I mean, my
Yes.
whole life, the whole world, it's all about love, and everything. I have found that one of my favorite songs is the late great Whitney Houston's "Greatest Love of All." Learning to love yourself. It is the greatest love of all.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that if you have this belief in your inside of you, that whether you know it or not, that's inside of you, that you're unlovable, that would that keep you from loving yourself?
Well, it can, because you'll think you're not worthy of it.
Right,
And
right,
so often any of the other core faulty beliefs will have a struggle in being able to be shifted uh, until we really feel how much we are absolutely unconditionally loved and lovable, no matter what's happened to us, no matter
right,
what we've done or said or didn't do or didn't say. And once you begin to feel that, then you can begin to really let go of anger and guilt and shame and powerlessness and this idea that I've been abandoned, and then that idea of lack of self-love, because we'll never let go of self-love if we think we're not deserving of it anyway. So I
right.
always say the core thing you have to let go of is this faulty belief or lie we tell ourselves: I'm unlovable because of what happened as a child, or because I kicked the dog when I was 3, or whatever it is we
Yeah.
tell ourselves.
Or you're telling yourself you're unlovable and you don't know why,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Um, Boy, there's an awful lot to unwrap here. My daughter is just an amazing, amazing person, but she had or and continues to. I guess this is a lifelong affliction, an eating disorder. And one day we were talking, and I said, Kristen, are you grateful, or do you live your life with gratitude? And she says, no. I said, why not? And she said, and I'm paraphrasing our conversation. She says, because I don't deserve to be grateful.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you don't deserve to be grateful. And
Yes.
it just floored me. It just, I just literally set back on my heels, and I didn't know what to do with that. Couple of things. You'd mentioned that you're an integrative psychiatrist. Can you explain just briefly in layman's terms what an integrative psychiatrist is?
Absolutely, because a lot of integrative physicians in general
Mhm.
mean they're integrative because they look at Western medicine model, what we're taught in medical school, and they look at nutrition.
Yes.
I'm much more holistic than that. I look at
Okay.
Western medicine, I look at cells, what's going on in your mitochondria and the cells of your body. I also look at nutrition. I also look at exercise, movement. I look at spirituality. What is your spiritual belief? How do you connect to whatever that is? Or if, I often will talk with people who will say they're atheists. And then when I get to talking to them, what they're describing is, I question anything I've been taught. And I said, maybe you're really a seeker more so than saying I don't think there is anything. And that's a great place to be. So I look at thoughts, I look at emotions, I look at spirit of the person, but I will not violate their religious belief or their
Sure.
spiritual belief, because I think the greatest harm we can do is say, wait, have you considered this? And they already are connected to something else, and you clip that. Now you've left them
Right.
isolated. That's not cool.
Right.
But I look at everything. I've been trained in Qigong, in energy systems. So I sometimes will walk people over to a meditation room I have across the hall from the room that I see patients in. And I have what I call the holistic lineup. So it sort of flows out of Godhead, spirit, whatever they understand. I say, as my past brother-in-law used to say, he would say, I don't know what I believe in, but I believe in the big soup and we're a
Right.
ladle, and I was like, cool. We'll talk about the big soup. And how does that flow into this physicalness of who we actually are?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, you talked about the spiritual aspect of it. Just my last guest, we talked about spiritual intelligence. You have IQ, which is intelligence uh, quotient, EQ, LQ, which is the love quotient, and he kind of talked to me about SQ, the spiritual quotient, and the rise of people wanting to understand their spirituality. So I love
Yes.
that. I love that. And I love the idea that you try to take everything into consideration. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So, Dr. Heal Thyself, with everything that you know and all the background that you've had, what
Yes.
has been one of your experiences, one of the things that you've one of the greatest experiences that has led you to some of the wisdom that you now offer, that led you to a better life?
Okay. Well, I can start with what was my core faulty belief that
Yes, that'd be
actually
great.
that caused me to struggle and really put my own core belief that was really not true in my face. And it all
Wonderful.
went all the way back to actually probably my birth, which is weird, but true. I was number 4 out of 5. People go 4 out of 5 physicians. I'm number 4 out of 5 kids.
Yeah.
And and when my mother was very pregnant with me, my father was doing his residency training on an Air Force base. Dad was post call. He had just gotten home, exhausted after being up all night, and climbed into bed to sleep. My mom was exhausted because she had 3 other kids, and she was very pregnant with me, like 8.5 months. And so they were both asleep. Well, my oldest sister and my next oldest sister had gotten up, and my sister used to like to get into the sugar. And so she pushed a chair over and got up on the counter to get into the sugar while everyone was sleeping, but happened to look up on a windowsill that would not have been reachable as an almost 5-year-old from the ground. But there she found a lighter, and she took the lighter and took that and came down. And apparently she had become fascinated with the lighter, according to my mother, uh, because both parents smoked. And she ended up
Sure.
going into a closet, was playing with the lighter, and inadvertently, it was before the time of all the non-flammable nightgowns, and she
Yeah.
unfortunately caught herself on fire and had a really bad burn. And so my parents woke up to screaming.
Oh,
And and from that, it sort of set into motion series of events. My father scooped her up and went back to the hospital, and my sister ended up in the burn unit. My mother ended up going into preterm labor, and
with
I was
you.
born. Yes. So high family crisis drama. And you kind
Yikes.
of go, well, how would this affect you? Well, my mother was very depressed then, coming home postpartum. My sister was still in the burn unit. She probably struggled to bond with me, and it was fascinating because I got confirmation of this later, but I had this core faulty belief that other people's needs were more important than mine, because I somehow knew that my sister needed attention, my parents were overwhelmed, and so I began to not ask for things. And I was, even as an infant, very much more concerned about others. And that may sound nutty, but how this translated was, when you were quiet, because I said to myself, another core faulty thought, I will be quiet and good. And I was so quiet that my father on his deathbed later said, I thought you were autistic because you never spoke. You were so quiet. And later, my mother told me, you were the best baby because you never cried, even if I forgot to feed you. And I was like, what? Because at that point, I had already had two children of my own. And I was like, what do you mean you forgot to feed me? and and what this did is it compounded to the point where, when you don't speak up and you don't put your needs first, people get used to, she never needs anything. When people offer things to you and you go, no, that's okay, I'm fine, but you're always doing for others and not yourself.
Right.
What that creates is, after a while, you start going, why don't people do for me? But you've already told them not to. And you come up with the next faulty belief that you've built upon, which is, I am starved for love. And it becomes very, very powerful.
And
It
the okay, go ahead.
Okay. So what I ended up with was, by the time I hit 40, I was married. I had, at that point now, 3 children, and I went for a routine mammogram, and everything had been clear every year. And then suddenly there was multiple calcifications in my left breast. Never been there before, never any history of fibrocystic breast disease, and nothing like it matching it on the right side. And my doc was terrified. My OBGYN sat down with me, my husband, both physicians, sat down also with a radiologist, and we were looking at the pictures because they'd sent me back for a diagnostic, and it showed, yeah, this is multiple calcifications. And he said, this really frightens me because whatever this is doesn't look great. And
And just real quick, sorry, a calcification, uh, to a layman, is that like a lump in the breast?
well, there weren't lumps there. Fibrocystic breast disease, you could see calcifications or unusual things. You would see it in both breasts, and you would always see it. This
Okay.
was brand new, and one calcification could be, just maybe it's if you breastfed, maybe it was a duct that was blocked. But when it's multiple and it had never been there before, that's
Okay.
suspicious for some sort of a precancerous cancerous issue, or a ductal carcinoma, or something going on that was beginning to be really big. So he said, if it were one, I would go in there and biopsy it. He said, but there are so many. If I did that, it would be so disfiguring that, we may as well take the breast. And my husband was like, that's
Wow.
right. Let's set up the surgical time. Let's do it this week. Let's take off the breast. And I was just sort of in shock, trying to assimilate what I was being told. And I said, hold on, I need to think about this. So the OBGYN said, okay, go home, sleep on it, come back in the morning, come to my office, we'll talk about it. So went home, put the kids to bed, and my husband was asleep next to me, and I'm laying there suddenly wide awake, just tears
Sure.
just kind of coming down. And I'm thinking, I want to be around when my kids get married, when they graduate high school. I want them to not have to say, I lost my mom. So
Right.
I was just terrified and all this angst. And then I got very quiet and very calm. And I heard very clearly, do something different. And I thought, okay. So woke up in the morning, and my husband's like, okay, we're going to go and we're going to set the surgical time frame when we're doing this. And I'm meeting with them. And I said, I know this may sound nutty, and I probably wouldn't recommend it necessarily to a patient I was seeing, but my knowing is I need to do something different. And I felt I could trust that. And so, my OB was nervous about it. His daughter and mine had gone to preschool together. So, we knew each other, not just as colleagues or OBGYNs, because not a big community and we're all docs. And my husband was kind of like worried. And I said, I really feel the need to do this. Can we wait 6 weeks? And I'm going to do something different. I knew
So,
enough. Uh-huh.
so, okay. So I want to talk to you. I want you to share you, the words "do something different" came to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How did those, and you listened to it. The
I
words
did.
came to you, and something in you said, okay. Most people would go, "What? Wait, what are you talking about?" That I'm going to work with the doctors, but these words, these words, "do something different" came to you,
Yes.
and you just said, "Okay, what was it about those words, and where did those words come from?"
It came from my own inner still small voice, which I was very connected with as a very young child, but put it all aside because I ended up going down a scientific biology path, and
Right,
when I
right.
was really young and I would know words to songs, and my sister would go, how did you know those words? And I would say, I guess I heard it before. I would be like 5 years old, and she wanted to know how I knew. And I'd say, I guess I heard it. She'd go, you can't have known it. They just said it's the first time it's played here. And it was when the Beatles had come to the
Oh,
States, and they were,
jeez.
and I all of a sudden I'm like, I better hide.
Wow.
So I was, considered kind of weird and out there. So I learned to zip up and be very quiet
But at the
and
same time,
shut it off.
doesn't everybody have that inner voice?
Yes,
Everybody's
yes,
got that inner voice, right? And so
yes,
so you over the years you've learned to listen to it.
yeah.
And because I really encourage people to listen to it. And in this case you did. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarification on
Yes,
do something different because this is a big deal,
it
right? I
was. It
mean, you're
was.
all physicians, you're all docs, you're all looking at the same information, and now you're saying, yeah, no, something tells me I should do something different. So that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, from there,
Hmm.
essentially, I began to try and challenge this idea because I knew I'd set other people's needs as more important than mine. So suddenly
Yeah.
I said, okay, I used to come in early if a patient was in crisis, skip lunch, stay late. If my husband at the time needed or wanted a new set of golf clubs, and I needed a new pair of tennis shoes because I was sort of a jeans and tennis shoe girl, even going to work. And I would defer and let him get that first before I would get something I needed.
Hmm.
And I began to say that's out of balance. I needed to rebalance and really prioritize myself as much as I did anyone else. So I began to do that. I knew enough or had begun to study enough about vibrational medicine, toning, centering, meditating. I would call in, and at that point, I didn't know that this would be considered Qigong. I would picture calling in this big giant ball of swirling gold and white light, bigger around than my body. And before I would go to bed at night, I would sort of call this in, see, sense, feel it as if it were moving through my body. And once I called it in, I just decided I'm not going to direct it. I wasn't going to be like, why are you stopping there? What's going on there? I would just let it move through my body, and it would pause at different places, and I could feel things shifting, but I trusted it and I just let it move through. But I also was nurturing myself, having higher regard for myself. So 6 weeks later, we're in the car driving back, and my husband's like, that's it, we're going to find out today what to do and plan to go from here. As we were driving there, all of a sudden I thought, I've done all this good stuff for myself. This is great. And then all of a sudden go, ooh, maybe I should have contacted some of my other spiritual kind of holistic friends and told them what was going on and opened myself up to receive healing or love from them from afar. I'm a very, very private person. So I thought maybe I should have done that. And I heard this old tape play in my head, another faulty thought. And what I heard myself say was, I would rather die than ask for help. And I just went, because I was like, oh my
Wow.
God. And all of a sudden I knew that was the one thing I hadn't done. So I was thinking this as we're arriving at actually to get another mammogram done. And from there, we were going over to the doctor's office, and they looked at it, and the OB said, well, I'm kind of perplexed. He said, nothing's worse. Nothing had changed worse, but the multiple calcifications were still there, but nothing was better. And my husband's like, that's it, schedule, we'll just take them both off. And I was like, what?
Yeah. 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 You take yours
Hold
off.
on.
These are mine.
Hold on now. And and I looked at him and I knew what I had not done. And I said, I would like 6 more weeks. And my husband was like, what? The OB sort of said, I would be worried, but nothing's
It's not getting
worse.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said, this is curious. So I said, give me 6 more weeks. And I knew what I needed to do. And I said, if we come back and it's not changed or worse, then sure, schedule the surgery. So I went home and immediately called, emailed, texted my spiritual friends. I didn't want to reach out to just anyone who would be like, oh my God, and be all fueling fear.
Right.
So
Right.
I reached out to these people, said, I will be open for healing from afar, prayers, energies, whatever you want. Continued to do what I was doing, was open. I had some friends who had been trained in modalities, and some wanted to come work on me, and some said, I'm doing healing from afar. I said, I'm open.
So
6 weeks later,
this is the integrative holistic part of your life, right?
that's
I
right.
mean, you're applying
That's right.
all that stuff to yourself. Okay.
That's right. 6 weeks later, go back. They do another mammogram, and we meet with them, and he goes, I don't know how to explain this. I said, that's okay. You don't have to. And my husband's looking at me and looking at the doc, goes, you don't understand. I go, I think I do. And he said, no, you don't understand. And I can't explain this. He goes, here is your mammograms through the year, all these years, fine. Here is 3 months ago, problem. Here is 6 weeks ago, problem. Here is today, boom. This is now nothing there, just like the way old mammograms, and I can't explain this. I said, that's okay. You don't have to. I know. And that was
Wow.
it. It just gone. So at that point, I began to realize how powerfully, not just from a mental health standpoint, anxiety, depression, holding on to these core faulty beliefs affect us. I also began to understand personally spiritual anatomy, which is sort of looking at how our thoughts and our feelings affect our vitality through sort of blocking us receiving the full vibrancy of who we are as a spiritual, energetic being. And that's when I began to really teach classes. I was doing a seminar that was an 18-hour seminar, one weekend out of every month for patients, for people out in the community, and saw them powerfully shifting, whether it was physical issues or whether it was anxiety, mood issues, relationship issues. And I just taught it more and more. And then I had people who said, I have a family member who can't afford to come for a weekend class or who don't live close enough for that. Could you write it out and put it in a book? And I was resistant at first because I said, I don't know that it'll do it in a book, as opposed to interacting with someone and carrying them through the meditations, visualizations, and exercises. But I had enough people who kept asking. And so at that point, I thought, can this stand alone? So I would take a chapter. I wrote the book to see would it work.
And the
Took
book is called Bye Bye Self-Sabotage.
Bye Bye Self-Sabotage, Drop Your Baggage, Love Your Life. And it took all of those core principles, and I took just a piece out of it and had a friend who had like a spa that she ran. I said, could I do a little seminar? And I'm not going to talk to anyone. They're just going to come in and I'm just going to give them the tools and see if it
Mm-hmm.
works for
Mm-hmm.
them. And it did. So that's where I sort of did test driving of different parts and then did the book.
So I want to segue just for a second.
Yes.
You've talked about a lot of things where a lot of people might be going, yeah, right. Right?
Yeah.
And so I want to let the folks know your background. And folks, as you guys know, I don't like to read stuff, but this is Tracy is okay. I'm just gonna go into it. Tracy's a medical doctor. She's got a Master of Science as a cell biologist. She's a physician, an psychiatrist, a metaphysician, and holistic practitioner. She holds a doctorate in medicine from Wake Forest University and a doctorate in metaphysics and holistic healing. Do I even know what that is? No. From Delphi University, a Master of Science in cell biology, immunology from Georgetown University. She holds certifications in mind-body medicine and the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine and Medical Qigong. How do you pronounce that?
Qigong.
Qigong. Thank you. I'm glad I asked. um, Practitioner and teacher, Dr. Latz has co-authored 5 books, including this last one. So, we're not talking about somebody who just pulled this stuff out of the sky. And the amazing thing about you, Dr. Latz, Tracy, is that you're sharing your experience in all this as well,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of folks who go to school, learn all these things, get all these credentials and things like that, and they go off and make a career out of it. You've lived it, you've experienced it, you've gone through it, and now you're sharing your experiences, you're sharing your background, you're sharing your clinical and your research and your academic background, and you've put it all into this book.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have an evil plan. My evil goal is to help as many people as possible get out of fear and fear-based thinking before I stop walking in this earth school. Uh, it's time.
I'll tell you something. What you just said is the whole reason why I started this podcast to begin with. Is just to help people. This
Yeah.
world is in so much need of healing, right? I mean, there's so much hate and fear. And and I'll tell you the antidote to hate and fear is love.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing. And I love you for that. And
No.
it's just our political leaders certainly aren't doing their part to make our world better and help people heal, right?
That's
And so
right.
and so it's left to all of us,
Yeah.
to help each other, to help each other. So that's just wonderful. Okay. So you did this seminar and it resonated with folks. And so now what are you doing to spread the love? What are you doing to
Oh my
to
goodness.
to finish to complete your work, of helping people not live in so much fear?
Oh my goodness. I still teach seminars, sometimes get called to teach it for private groups, or from time to time I'll do it publicly. I've taught out of North Carolina, out of Sedona, Arizona, taught in France at one point, and actually was asked to go into the LA County Jail a number of years ago, and we did a portion of the class to a group of the women who were preparing for hopefully being paroled. And
Wonderful.
that was powerful. We went to Lebanon and we talked to a group of women there who grew up in war-torn area and had a lot of PTSD. So we taught that for an intensive weekend, and we followed it up with an intuitive art class, which I love that, because for people who say, I have too much mind chatter, how can I hear my own inner still small voice about relationships in my life, my own physical issues, or my cat, my dog, people that I love. And that's why I love doing the Intura or intuitive art classes, because it is a rapid way. Within 3 hours, a person can be shown how to, with eyes closed, connect with a concept, a person, a pet, a place, whatever, and receive information that comes out on the paper just by swooshing across the paper these pastel chalks. And I love
Wow.
that. I love that. So I'm all about helping people understand more of who they are by questioning things that point them to know they're focusing on who they're not, because that leads to fear and issues in our
Right.
body.
What
So
did you call that art?
Intura art, intuitive art.
Intuitive
We
art.
did a book that
Okay.
was The Mystical World of Intura Art, Connecting with Spirit via Intuitive Art. Now, I had a lot of people who were sending a little hate mail because we didn't tell them how to do it here. We just showed in this book what you could use it for. And part of the reason I haven't put in there how to do it is not because it's a great secret I'm holding on to. It's because to really be a clear uh, channel, or clear yourself to allow that to flow out on the paper, you first need to allow your emotions that are holding you back
Sure.
to kind of bubble up and be released on the paper. And when I am with a group of people, I can see how people are doing, and I can tell, okay, we need to
Right.
do that one more time. And I don't want to make someone think, oh, just do this, and they do it once, and then they aren't
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
enough, and then they go,
Yeah.
this doesn't work, because it does, and I love it.
You got hate mail. I mean, give me a break. Give me a
Uh,
break. I mean, that's the whole
yeah,
point, right? That's the whole
yeah,
point of everything that we're doing.
that's
And
right.
so, we're coming, we're kind of coming to the time limit, if you will. Could you share with us, you'd mentioned that you came up with, in working with all the people that you've worked with, there are common core beliefs
Yes.
that people have. Can you share some of those with us?
Yeah. Well, the core one is, of course, as we mentioned, I am unlovable for
Okay.
one of a million reasons.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and when we believe that, we will end up keeping ourselves in relationships that are unhealthy, or that show us exactly what we believe. We're unlovable, because if someone comes into our life and treats us as if we're lovable, that's unfamiliar. So you'd think a person would go, oh, great, and hold on to that. They don't. They actually repel it, because that feels uncomfortable,
Wow.
because while I don't like this, it's familiar. And
And
so you have to get someone past that.
the idea of being unlovable in relationships is not just a what do you call, a romantic relationship or a partner relationship. I mean, that's
Yeah.
being manifests that problem can manifest itself in your work relationships, right?
Yes. And it
Every
will.
relationship. And
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So
Yep.
because a lot of people think, well, I'm unlovable, therefore I can't find a life partner. Well,
Yes.
feeling like you're unlovable affects every relationship in your life,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So what's another one? Give me two more. Give me two more.
well, another one is I am abandoned. And when people believe that, they
Ooh.
look for it. constantly. And that's a core faulty belief that gets sort of cemented in for a lot of people in that rapprochement stage of life, which is between 18 months of age and 3 years of age. And it can lead to what we call black, white, or all or nothing thinking. So it creates where a person evaluates every person, every situation, where I'm kind of looking, going, are you going to abandon me? Are you for
That's
me
a
or are you against me?
that comes down to trust, right?
Yes,
Holy cow.
yes,
Holy smoke.
yes.
Okay, can you give us one more?
One more is my heart is too broken. My heart is too broken,
Oh,
so I'm damaged, and I am damaged goods. So I will not be in a relationship. No one's going to want me anyway, because then remember, we add this on top of I'm unlovable. So I just am always going to be alone. I'll never have anybody because they're going to abandon me anyway. I'm unlovable. So my heart's too broken. I'm damaged goods. People are going to walk into the room, look at me and scream and run away. It's
oh,
fascinating. Yes.
oh, that's killer. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
And how and you I you know, one big part of me says you must see that all the time.
I do.
You must see
I
all
do.
these things all the time.
I do. You
And oh
know,
my gosh.
I've had a lot of people say, wait a minute, why are you teaching people this? Because if you teach everyone these things and they transform them, you're going to be out of business. And I start grinning. I go, wow, you are on to me. My job is to become useless. I say,
Yes.
unfortunately, there are more people that are dancing in
Right.
all of these faulty beliefs that I'd love to be out of the job, but unfortunately, not right now. So,
But at the same time, that that idea that you'll be out of a job is a faulty belief to begin with as well. Because that's a
yes,
belief that you're living in a world of scarcity
yes,
and that your opportunity is going to go away. I have always, my view in my professional life has always been if I do my job right, I will work myself out of a job. And but you do it. You do it.
yeah,
And but at the same time, you know, I to what you said, the world and I mean, your opportunity is limited by the number of people who are living on this planet.
that's right.
Right? And
That's
so
right.
and so the way that I look at it and the way that my daughter brought it to me, she said, Dad, if you help one person live a better life, you've just lifted the world.
Yes.
And
Because if you get them to stand in the light of who they are, and you've left a trail of light for other people, and then they become a bright light and they leave a trail of light
yes,
for others, it
yes,
just
yes.
augments.
It just
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Exactly. Now, these beliefs and in your book, which I haven't full disclosure, I haven't gotten your book. I haven't bought your book. I'm going to,
No.
right? Because I want to learn about this. And you do share in your book what those top common
Yes.
incorrect beliefs are, right? Because
And
I uh
unlike other people, we don't just say, yeah, these are them. Sorry, now you know, good luck. We actually go with a core belief and then we give you tools to shift them. And
that's
we give
wonderful.
you a smorgasbord of tools so that some are for people who like meditation, visualization, and some are for people who like very physical tapping protocols. We do all sorts of things because we overgive, because some people are more left brain, some are more right brain, and they prefer one or the other.
Right. And is your book in language that people like me can understand?
Yes.
Okay. And because I need to have things spelled out. I'm one of those people, Tracy, that has to read things 3 times before I get to, oh, this thing's trying to tell me something, you know? And so So I love the idea that you've made it simple.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I am excited about picking this up because, we talk about finding better. We talk about sharing experiences. We talk about helping people learn through other people's experiences. But this is so core because if you have these self-sabotaging beliefs in your system, no matter what people share with you, it can only get so far, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Tracy, do you have anything else for this I'd love to have you back sometime.
I'd
Um,
love to come back.
but for now, is there anything else that you'd like us to know?
For people who do go through the book, you can use it for whatever's going on in your life now. You can also then go back and redo each of those core faulty belief areas based on childhood. You could go back and do it for your boss and your job if you're having issues. You can do it for all sorts of things. That's the beauty. Secondly, for people who say, I can't read the meditations and then carry myself through them, we talk in the book where you can record it or get someone else to read it to you. We also have downloads where even on Amazon, you can look for the meditations to download. I'm working on trying to do it as an Audible book. That's on my list of things to do. Uh, we do have a website that shows,
Wonderful.
if you go to YouTube and you actually go to the Shift Your Life TV channel, we will show you some of the tapping protocols for people who go, I don't get it. Especially the Qigong emotional release protocol, which can transform and shift overwhelming emotions within a minute and a half or less once you know how to do it. So we try and overgive tools. We try and give a lot for free to the degree that we're possibly able to. For people who say, I need the seminar, but you're not teaching it here, or I can't afford it, we do have a very affordable online seminar where you can do the intense course even online, and you can get to that through our website, shiftyourlife.com. We're just here to help.
Shiftyourlife.com.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
And you're not here to sell seminars,
Nope.
expensive seminars, right?
Nope.
If people
Nope.
find their way there, that's fine, right?
That's right.
But my sense of it is that your book shares a lot
It gives
that
you
that people
everything.
can.
It
It
really
gives you
gives you
everything.
everything. It's an issue
Wonderful.
of working through it.
Nancy, this is our God, what did I call you, Nancy Tracy. Oh
Okay,
my God,
Fred.
you got me out there. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm Fred. Yeah, I'm Toshi.
And I'm
Yeah,
Nancy.
so
I'm
and
Nancy
you're a
Drew.
dentist,
I
right?
want you
Yeah.
to.
Oh my gosh, Tracy, this has just been amazing. This has been
It's been
amazing.
fun.
And thank you so much for joining me. I know that there are folks out there who just got a lot out of this conversation, including me.
Oh,
So
well,
thank you
bless.
again for joining me. I look forward to having you back.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, yeah, unbelievable. Folks, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And share this, please share this and let folks know about this because this is the kind of thing that nobody talks about, right?
It's
And
true.
it's amazing. It is just amazing, life changing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks.